Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you guys for, joining our virtual panel discussion this afternoon. Excuse me, I do apologize. My name is Wilkie Briette, and I have the pleasure of serving as the Human Resources Director here at AdventHealth Waterman. I've spent my entire adult career working in healthcare. I started as a patient care technician many years ago. And today I have the amazing pleasure to serve as HR director here at AdventHealth Waterman. I've been here for the last 3 years. It's been an amazing journey. Just love it and enjoy it working here at AdventHealth. And so want to thank you guys for joining us this afternoon and looking forward to spending some time with you and discussing with you what does life look like for us here at AdventHealth Waterman. During this discussion, I will prompt questions to our panelists who you'll get to meet here in just a second. So you can gain an understanding of what life is like at AdventHealth Waterman. Our hope is that you will be inspired and you will come and you will join the AdventHealth Waterman family after you learn about us and attend our upcoming hiring event, which is scheduled to take place on April 11th from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. here at AdventHealth Waterman in Tavares, Florida. So at this time, I will turn it over to our panelists to introduce themselves, share with us your title, what do you do, and how long you've been at AdventHealth Waterman. So Mike, I know normally it's ladies first, but since you're the only gentleman on the panel, I will let you go first. So I'll let you go first, Mike, and then we'll go Charla, Holly, and Laura.
Perfect. No, that sounds good, Wilkie. Thank you very much. My name is Mike Simpson. I am the Chief Nursing Officer here at AdventHealth Waterman. I have been with AdventHealth for about 10 years now, 5 of those years here at Waterman in the CNO role. I am an OR nurse by background, but I've been a nurse for 30 years and just really excited to participate with you all today and just share our information about Waterman.
I am Charla Alberry. So I beat Mike by a couple of years because I've been a nurse for over 32 years. Fun fact, Holly and I went to nursing school together way back in the day. But I've been at Waterman for coming up on 4 years now, and I'm the director of critical care. So that means I have the intermediate cares, I have the ICUs, and I actually have our respiratory department in addition to that. So it's a pleasure to be with you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Holly Colesberry. I'm the Director of Women and Children, as well as all of our med-surg areas, which includes some orthopedics and oncology and regular med-surg. I have been with AdventHealth Waterman twice, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But I started my career here in 1992, so 31 years. I come in right between y'all. And started and was here for 9 years, and I've been back almost 8. So I definitely came home. It's a wonderful place, and I'm happy to share my experience with you.
Hi guys, my name is Laura Perry Smith. I am the Director of Emergency Services here at Waterman. I have been here for 10 years, 5 of which in leadership here with Waterman. It is absolutely an amazing place to work, and like Holly, I've come back and forth to AdventHealth, not just Waterman, several times, and it is home. It does definitely feel like home. I am actually the baby, which is so weird. I have been a nurse for over 20 years. I never thought I'd say I'm still the baby at this age, but cool. I think it's awesome. Lots of careers in nursing, which we're going to be happy to share with you, but we're super excited you joined us for this day. So welcome to our Waterman family.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone, for your introductions. Very amazing group of leaders, and you guys will get to hear a little bit more from them this afternoon as we begin to get into some questions and learn a little bit more about what it's like to work here at AdventHealth Waterman. So I do want to share with you, attendees, that your mics have been placed on mute. However, we encourage you to share your comments and your questions in the message feed. There will also be dedicated time towards the end of the virtual panel discussion for a Q&A session, so you definitely want to stick around with any questions that you may have, and our amazing panelists will be happy to answer those for you. Please use the chat function to comment or to raise any questions that you may have. We have, excuse me, We have an amazing team that will be monitoring the feed during the virtual panel discussion to provide any answers that come up. So if you put a question in the chat, they will also help with answering those questions for you. So let's get those questions going. Let's get them flowing. We're looking forward to answering them for you. So we'll go ahead and just jump right into it. We'll start with a few questions here. And our very first question, I will direct to Mike, our Chief Nursing Officer. Mike, can you give a brief overview of AdventHealth Waterman? How many beds do we have? Any technology you can highlight? And what it's like in the community?
No, absolutely. Yeah, just an overview as far as Wilkie had shared that we're located in Tavares, Florida. It's about 30 minutes northwest of Orlando. It's in Lake County, which is really appropriately named because there are almost 2,000 bodies of water in Lake County. So if you like boating, if you like outdoors fishing, this is the place for you. But we are a 300-bed hospital with almost 2,000 employees. Last year in 2022, we had almost 15,000, or excuse me, a little over 15,000 inpatient admissions, and our ED department, a 59-bed ED unit that saw almost over 70,000. I keep trying to shortchange us. No, so over 70,000 visits in our ED last year. We have an orthopedics unit, oncology, a CVICU unit that's 16 beds, a multi-system ICU that's 24 beds. We also have a labor and delivery unit, where last year we saw right about 550 births back in 2022. A very robust open heart program that was started over 10 years ago, and we're really excited about that. We've been doing neurospine, and this year we're going to start doing craniotomies here at Waterman, which is great. Back in August, we also added robotics to our repertoire that we do here at Waterman. So really a robust full service hospital here at Waterman, in many different service lines. And as far as the community, we're located really close to Mount Dora. There's a lot of little small towns here that have great downtowns to be able to go and do your shopping. Lots of great dining. I love to eat. So lots of great restaurants in this area as well. So I think it's a great community. Still has that small town community feel, but you still have access to the big city of Orlando.
Awesome. Absolutely. Thanks, Mike. And I totally agree. We are big enough to have all the amazing and awesome technology. Charlotte says that all the time, but we're also small enough to where we have this family friendly environment where, you know, we're small enough with 2,000 employees that we can still connect on a personal level with our team members. And yes, if you get to see our campus, if you Google us on Google, it's a beautiful campus, beautiful building. So yes, thank you for sharing that with us, Mike. And so our next question is, can you tell us a little bit about your department? And we'll start with you, Laura, then we'll go to Holly, and then we'll end with Charlotte.
So like Mike said, our ED department saw over 70,000 visits in our 58-bed space. We are incredibly lucky here to have a highly engaged physician team, multiple split flow model here in our ED for patient throughput and movement. I would say that we're the only ones that are different because minutes matter, as everyone knows. Minutes matter for us. So we do a lot of focus intentionality and work on what is patient throughput and the experience like through our space. We do see approximately about 200 to 225 patients a day. We currently have over 175 team members in our space with an incredibly awesome turnover rate right now of about 13%, which is awesome. Considering EDs across the United States, it's definitely been a great place to work. I think all of the features that we offer here, I would say I'm most proud of creating the psychological safety and the high reliability stance for us through the use of our lens board, which is like the awesome Advent way to do Facebook and Twitter. So it's really cool for us to be able to post and communicate and chat and just share, not just life, but what we do here. And that's what makes really Waterman and the ED here amazing. I'll turn it to the ladies.
Awesome. Thank you, Laura. And we'll turn it over to you, Holly.
So we have women and children, and this is a floor that is truly all women and children. Pediatrics, labor delivery. We do our own C-sections on this area, and a nursery. Mother, baby, everything is confined into one very secure location. It's in our new tower, which is right above the ER. And I've got to say that our ER nurses and our labor and delivery and pediatric nurses go up and down and help each other all the time. With any difficult patients that we might have or younger neonates that can be challenging. So that is a very collaborative area over there. Then on the other side in the towers, I have the 4, 5, and 6 floors. That's an observation and a med-surg type of unit. Then the 5th floor is oncology and respiratory, and our 6 floors are designated for orthopedic and med-surg. So these are general med-surg areas. Typically, there's about 60 beds per floor. The floors are a little different, but we do everything. And then what we love about being a med-surg on this tower is that we do have our PCU and our ICU team that can back us up. So in the event that there is a patient that's going bad, they are right there with us. And I will let Charla talk about her areas that we need desperately when we go to her.
So as Wookie says, I say that we are the Goldilocks of hospitals. We're just right. So we're not too big, we're not too small. And that's the beautiful thing about nursing and care teams is that you can grow from one department to another. So like Holly says, I have the pleasure of taking care of the teams in the intensive care level and the intermediate care level, which then of course provides a pathway for growth later, should you want to, or just niche out where you're like, this fits me good. But it's funny because I steal Holly's nurses and she steals my nurses. We trade them like trading cards. And there's been some ED involvement in there too. When my ICU nurses just went over to ED. So that's one of the beautiful things about Waterman is that it's about finding where you feel the most comfortable and growing. So, but I'm supposed to be telling you about ICU level and intermediate. So our community tells us what we need to become, right? So you as a healthcare provider are here for a purpose, for a goal, to use your God-given talents to the betterment of taking care of humanity, right? That's what we are. So as a facility, ICU, we do everything from cardiovascular surgery to our support of our interventional radiology team with ECOS, with clot management. We also, as Mike said, as our community said, hey, stop sending us to Orlando for our neurosurgery. We need you to do that. Can you do that for us? And we said, of course we can. So we trained up, and that's what we're getting ready to launch this summer in collaboration with our OR. We have a neurosurgeon here who's fantastic. Last year we reinstated vascular surgery. So we have all of those things. Our intermediate care, that team, oh my goodness, they astound me every day. So in some cardiovascular structural programs, they have something called a TAVR. It's a valve that's inserted. Well, we go straight to the intermediate care from the cath lab. And that we're actually functioning at the national standard with that instead of going to an ICU setting, because our intermediate care team was like, yep, we got you. This is how we're going to train. This is how we're going to safely take care of the patients. So our intermediate care is divided up into 2 main groups, which are a cardiovascular specialty and a multi-system specialty. That mirrors our ICU structure, cardiovascular ICU and multi-system ICU. And then of course we support the entire house with our rapid response team. And so our outpatients, our inpatients, that critical care trained nurse is doing proactive rounding on our high-risk patients, and she's responding. Our ED, they seriously back us up. So we respond because you don't want adults rolling on children, right? No, we're like, I can document, no. So our ED, they handle the rapid response in our pediatric area and support us throughout the house in our outpatient arena. So, and then I have the pleasure of having the other part of the rapid response team, which is the respiratory care team. So you want to talk about highly functional. If you, as a respiratory care, as a respiratory therapist, want to utilize everything you've ever been trained to do, this is the place, because they function at their highest level in a collaborative fashion. You, through multidisciplinaries, through proactive, through response with rapid response. So I think that's about what I got. So the teams and all areas though, because you'll find us bragging about each other's teams because we work so closely together. We're like, I saw your person and you bet, and they are fantastic. So you'll see that happen routinely at Waterman. Another leader actually reaching out and telling you how fantastic your team did, and they were there and got to witness it. And I think that's one of the most special things I like about the teams is we like to say we're separate, but then we function together and we do it well.
Awesome. Thank you, ladies. I appreciate you sharing a little bit about your department. Lots of exciting stuff happening on each of those areas. And I will say, if you ever happen to be on our campus, just the different areas are just very unique. But also the way they function, it's definitely a team effort. So thank you for sharing. Many of you guys, if you've seen any of our commercials, if you've seen any of our marketing and ads throughout the community, you may hear this thing or see the sign that says feel whole. And so my next question will be to Holly. What does it look like to provide whole person care?
The easy answer would probably be mind, body, spirit, right? I mean, that kind of comes out, that flows easy. But what does that really look like? Like, what do we actually do to take care of the whole person? So as nurses and healthcare professionals, you know, body's kind of easy, right? You come in, you're bleeding, you put pressure on it, you stop the bleeding. Coming in with chest pain, oh my goodness, I think I'm having a heart attack, get them to the cath lab. Those kinds of things are kind of tangible. It's what we train to do, it's what we know how to do. Mind and spirit, those are the ones that make us special. It's a lot more difficult, it's less tangible. It requires a relationship, it requires trust, and it requires the nurse to become vulnerable and sense the patient's needs. Sometimes when you walk into a patient's room, you can look at their vital signs and tell that they're in body distress, but you can't actually see the loss. We don't know what loss that patient has experienced prior to coming into the hospital. We don't know what the family's loss has been. We can't see that their heart could be breaking, and we can't see that their spirit could be broken. They could have just lost a child or an adult child from many of the things that are plaguing our society today. Those aren't things that we can see to put our hands on and fix quickly. We can only connect with them. We have to be vulnerable, understand where they're coming from, ask lots of questions, and be willing to share of ourselves in order to find that. Fortunately, AdventHealth is faith-based, so we are honored and privileged and have the openness to be able to pray for healing if that's what our patients want or need. We can also pray for guidance because sometimes the family is hurting and they're needing to understand what means and mechanisms they need to make decisions for their loved ones. And we can also pray and give them help to release, to let go. These are all things, though, that as a nurse, it's not something that's taught. It's kind of something that you learn. It's who you are inside. It's giving of yourself and being vulnerable. So I think in thinking about some of these questions, I thought, maybe I should share a couple of stories of where looking back over the last couple of years have stood out to me of good ways that we've provided whole care care. The first one was we had an elderly couple who had been together a long time. and the patient was the gentleman, and he knew he didn't have very long, like a few days. And our amazing respiratory team, which Charla has referred to several times, and it's such a collaborative experience here. All of our teams really do reach out, cross the lines, go to each other, and do what's best for our patient. So we needed respiratory, and we needed nursing desperately because this couple wanted to get married. And we're talking days, like he's not going to be around with us much longer. So respiratory and nursing came together along with chaplain services, dietary, they made a cake, and this couple got married in our facility, and he did pass just a few days later. But we provided him the whole care, the spirit. Of course, we were doing the body and the mind. So that was a very touching story. Another one was, we had COVID patients for sure, and some of them were with us for a very long time. And one of the ones that I can remember, I was actually in Laura's office down in the ED, and it overlooks the back part of our hospital, which is on a lake, by the way, and the helicopter pad. And I could see all these nurses and respiratory therapists and everybody else pulling this patient out in a bed down the sidewalk. He wanted to be in the sun. He needed some fresh air. And we were taking him out. And I'm like, again, that's not something that you do every day, but that's what that patient and that family needed. And the expression on his face, it was priceless. And I will never forget that story. And then another time was certainly going through COVID again. We had limited visitation, and I'm over mother baby, and we were having beautiful, beautiful babies. But typically in a waiting room, it's loaded with grandparents and aunts and uncles and friends, and everybody's anticipating the birth of this precious baby. And during this time, we had some limited visitation. So again, our communities came together, and instead of waiting in the lobby, they would make streamers and banners and big balloons and everything, welcoming the baby. And we would hold the baby at the window and just interact. And that provided the care for the new moms and dads, because they wanted to experience it with their families. So it's just really thinking outside the box and thinking about how to connect with your patient, what they need, and provide that whole care. Nursing is the number one trusted profession. And I don't even know how many years that is now. We're probably talking more than 15 or 20 years now. I just want to leave with a very special note. Nurses are many times the first eyes that a newborn sees. They're the first finger that a newborn grasps. And at the other end of that spectrum, many times as a nurse, we are the last hand that a person touches as they go into eternity. That is a very special gift. That is providing whole care. That's not something that you can go and sell. That is our hearts touching other hearts. So to me, Wilkie, that's whole care.
Absolutely, Holly. And I think you made it perfectly clear. It's mind, body, and soul. Really taking care of the whole person. And Holly, while I have you here still, there was a question in the chat. I know you have LPNs on your units, wanting to know a little bit about an LPN training program. Do you mind touching on that while I have you?
We do. We implemented LPNs probably about a year and a half ago now, and they're on several of our med-surg floors. They get an extended training if they haven't been in the hospital for a while. We have what we call an LPN cohort. We start one every other month. So we started one in January, another one in March, another one in May. If there is current experience in acute care, they don't need to go to a cohort, but we have an amazing model that collaborate together with the RNs. And again, all of our team, we have PCTs that support, and certainly our respiratory therapists support our inpatient areas all the time. So yes, we have any specific questions about LPNs, we would love to discuss that.
Thank you, Holly. And Laura, I know you have LPNs in the ED as well. Do you want to talk about that?
So we have actually just embarked on our first LPN cohort effective a week ago, actually. So this will be the first time at Waterman that we are implementing LPNs in our space. If anyone on this panel will tell you, I am not afraid to embrace change and create new stuff and try it out. But when we look at the future of nursing and what I personally refer to as the nursing legacy, it is really, really important that we start looking at nursing as a whole picture and not just those that have RN behind their name. So for me, adding LPNs to the ED space became almost a passion project, and teaching them what it takes to work in an acute care setting that is not just a typical med-surg PCU type floor. I know across our South region, they do a lot of work with the LPNs and they use them in almost like a central care style fashion. I want to challenge that status quo here at Waterman and put them out there in front of the acute care patients and have them be part of our care team or response team. So we're building as we go. There's not an actual ED program, but we have 2 very amazing educators here in the ED that are working on this program, and 8 very willing participants, which is awesome. Both new grads and seasoned experience, and they're helping us build what I hope is a very robust LPN program in the future. So we are definitely all embracing our LPN teammates and showing them the way here at Waterman.
Yes, awesome. Thank you, Laura. I appreciate that. And our next question, and Laura, we'll start with you. Can you tell me what a typical day for a nurse looks like on your unit, in your department?
So I will speak specific for the ED. National average for ED nurses typically is anywhere between 20 to 28 patients in a 12-hour shift. Again, we are based off of minutes and speed batters. I like to think of us as the NASCAR pit crew team of the hospital because that's what it takes. It takes one big team. So for us, a typical day within the ED space usually starts out at a little bit of a slower pace. We have a chance to catch up on what is our required education, safety huddle. They get their own designated huddle with their A&Ms, and we slowly open what would be our 58 beds. Our situation here in the ED is very unique as compared to the standard floor. While we do have 58 beds, we don't staff 58 beds. We staff actually for the volume of patients that come into our space. So for us, a Monday is busy. That may mean 50 caregivers, but on a Saturday that might be a little slower, it may only be 25 caregivers. So we have this very unique kind of 24-hour system that's not the traditional 7A to 7P style nurse. So you may bring in a quarter of your staff at 7, a quarter of your staff by 11, and the rest of your staff is onboarded by 1 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon when the volume of the patients are here. Again, in the evening, as the volume becomes less, we start to taper off that staff to back the play of what the community needs are during that time frame. Our ED nurses are very, very busy. We have a very sick ED space. If you were to put us on the map from an AdventHealth perspective, our level of acuity here matches that of AdventHealth Orlando. And we are out here in the City of Lakes. So it's very different, but we have an awesome transport partnership with AHEMS to get our patients back and forth to our mothership location and make sure that all those resources are met. And we have expanded service lines here at Waterman that will now allow us to keep our community members within our community. I would say on average, we definitely see those of the sicker patients. We typically have anywhere between 2 and 5 ICU admissions a day, which for a small hospital is a lot of admissions. So we keep Charlotte's team very, very busy and our respiratory team very busy. We also do have 8 dedicated peds beds. When COVID happened, we took a significant hit with our pediatric volume. Parents, staff, everyone was just afraid to come to the ED. We literally saw 2,000 patients the year of COVID, the birth of COVID. I did not think we would ever 100% bounce back, but 2022 gave me a totally different story to sing. And here we are telling you that we saw almost 13,000 patients, just 18 and under, in our AdventHealth Waterman space. And I've been here 10 years, so I can say honestly, my first shift here, we didn't see 100 patients in the first day, but 2 days ago, we saw 260, and we are just moving and grooving. And what is awesome about the ED is it's a hospital within a hospital. And my job would not be this easy or fun if I didn't have these people on the panel here sitting next to me and had the ability to really filter not just staff, but employees and even our patients into other care areas that are equally as qualified or great.
Thank you, Lauren. I will say, to work in the ED space, you have to be a very calm person And I can tell you every time I walk down there, Laura's just very calm. She's and her entire team, they're just very calm. They're working, they're saving lives. So thank you for sharing that. So Charlotte, the same question for you. What does a typical day look like for nurses on your unit? And then I also saw there was a few questions in the chat about the neuro program. So if you don't mind touching on that as well.
Okay, so I say all things roll through intermediate care. We stop the house if we're not working well. So a typical day in our unit it means that we're rolling 24/7. So nothing stops in the hospital just because it's night shift. Our night shift team is a highly functioning, independent group of people who utilize every single resource and talent throughout the building to make sure that care does not stop. So that's the first thing that you need to know about us. The second thing is that everybody is in a collaborative, critical thinking mode. What is the best thing that I can achieve for these patients? Does my patient have everything that they need to care for? So it's an interaction in the ICU. It's a closed ICU setup, which means we have a 24 hours of critical care physician availability on site. So that can be through our, all care runs through them. So that means there's no time wasted trying to access, whether it's lines being put in, whether it's care needs, whatever those patients need, whether it's that admission from the ED that they're going to admit 4 ICUs overnight to this team because grandma and grandpa, drove down from someplace and now they're fluid overloaded and we need to intubate them. And here we go. So ICU is every skill, every tool, but it has direct connection to our critical care medicine team. Intermediate care, that team is known for its patient advocacy and not waiting for a physician, but actually contacting the physician for what the patients and the nurses think that those patients need to move that care down the care continuum to make sure that we get that we're interfacing, because when families show up, all of a sudden the medication list may change. All of a sudden the story of he's not doing that, he's doing this, those types of things. So we want to make sure that team, they are recognized for their ability to interface all the different puzzle pieces of care. Because people are like puzzles, they got random bits and pieces, and then you put them all together and you're like, oh, that's the picture. That's how we're going to make this work for you. And what works for us may not work for them. So we have to adapt. So adapt to the changes in the patient and adapting to the care. Those are the pieces that a day in a life means. So it's accessing resources, advocating for patients, and moving things along. That is a quick-paced environment. And you know what? That team is known for questions. Whether they're in the ICU or in the intermediate PCU level of care, they're questioning everything all the time to make sure, do you see this? I see this. Is this what we're going to do for this patient? Is this what's best? So there's a lot of questioning and a lot of answers and a lot of advocacy. So I think that's pretty much what goes down in those. Respiratory is integrated into those areas also. So we actually are utilizing cardiopulmonary paramedics as a part of our team to help with the respiratory care delivery model. Because nobody likes a crisis better than a paramedic, right? They roll in, they say, talk about somebody that's jumping in the middle of the action, that's them. So from a crisis piece of care, they're right there to, I think that working together is what all the teams do well. So a day in a life is working together with all your resources and your leadership team. So you have nobody so you're looking at the team members right now that are advocating for the actual team members. Love Me is one of our service standards. And I have to say, I'm known for my snacks. Because that's the love me language in my world. So we want to make sure that Our service standards apply to our team members, and part of that is make it easy and making sure that our team members have what they need to care for their patients. So that you're looking at the team that's going to make sure that you have the ability and the resources to do your job and do it with pride.
Thank you, Charla. And Holly, what does a typical day look like for the nurses on your units?
So quite a variety, from women and children and pediatrics. That team could go from no patients to delivering 4 or 5 in a day, and a full nursery with OR right there in the space for surgery. So that floor functions a lot like an emergency room does. Patients walk in, you don't get to pick when your baby's born unless you're a scheduled C-section, that is. So that is very dependent, and we do a lot like Laura does with staggering and staffing and on-call and coming in to help, because we don't always know exactly what's going to happen on any given 12-hour shift. From our pediatric, that is an inpatient pediatric unit. It is 8 beds, and we also staff out with a full a hospitalist complement of pediatric hospitalists. And we have, in 2022, we reestablished, we listened to our community, did multiple, lots of research, and we reestablished our certified nurse midwife program. So now we are very blessed to have a certified nurse midwife in-house all the time to work along with our team and to help us with our deliveries. That is a huge, huge, huge win. We are the only hospital in Lake County that has certified nurse midwives. And again, that was a lot about listening to our community and the kind of birthing experience they wanted, and what we could do to meet that. So we're very, very excited about that. In fact, I guess in about another 6 weeks, there's another one joining our team. So that team is very flexible and goes with the flow, as does the ED, depending on your volumes. Then on the med surge areas, as Laura mentioned earlier, just how busy the ER is, that all rolls into the inpatient setting. So from our typical nurse day in the regular floors on the med surge, ortho, oncology floors, we're full. Like Lake County is absolutely booming. There are young families moving in. This is also a retirement community. There is building going on everywhere. When you drive, it's everywhere. So really and truly, when I say every bed is full, every bed is full. But we are also very committed to making sure that we are taking great care and safe care of each and every patient that's in those beds. So our nurse patient ratio in the med surge areas is 5 or 6 to 1. And we do have PCTs, LPNs that are all into that mix. And again, an orthopedic floor, you're going to be getting lots of ortho surgeries that are coming out. We have an amazing orthopedic program. Yesterday, we did 9 cases. I mean, back to back to back. So very busy, quick turnover. Observation unit, we try to, for those patients to be admitted, made decisions and discharged quickly, usually within 24 hours is our goal, less than 24 hours. Oncology, we offer an amazing oncology program that some nurses that are very, very passionate about that particular certification, that particular patient population. So just about every place that you would want to work, we have it here. I mean, we barely touched on cath lab, case management. There's lots of other departments that aren't necessarily represented on this call that we do have. And so I just want to make sure that everybody understands that Waterman really is all encompassing with lots and lots and lots of opportunities to grow.
Yes, thank you, Holly. And yes, we have various departments, cath lab, radiology, we have a cancer institute, just a variety of different service lines that are available. So thank you, ladies, for sharing what a typical day looks like on your unit for our nurses. And so, Mike, we'll go to you now with the question of what kinds of things do you think sets AdventHealth Waterman apart from other hospitals?
No, I think we've touched on this a few times already. Is we're a larger hospital, but we really still maintain that small hospital feel. I can't tell you how many people that have joined our team that have come, and I've kind of been walking through Waterman with them, and they look at me. This place just feels different. You know, people are happy, people are smiling. It's just kind of that hometown feel that we have here at Waterman. On top of that, we also have a very engaged medical staff. I have to tell you, they work very collaboratively with our nursing team. I know some hospital systems, there's a lot of friction between the providers and the nursing team, but we don't really see that here at Waterman. I think one of the reasons is we do have a monthly nurse physician roundtable where we have a group of physicians and nurses come and sit together and just talk about the issues. How do we solve these issues together? One of our most recent ones, I was really excited. We have a nurse practitioner who is now part of our hospitalist team, and she started as a PCT with us. She became an RN, and now she's a nurse practitioner. And she really jumped in and said, "Hey, I kind of have seen all sides of this." And she's put together a presentation for our nursing team that she's educating out as far as communication and how we can improve that communication between the providers and frontline nursing team. So I think it's just that nature of we're all in this together. It's not nurses against docs. We will all come together and solve these issues and problems. And lastly, and certainly not least, I want to say these three nursing leaders that I'm on the panel with today, Charla, Holly, and Laura. I have never worked with a more engaged nursing leadership team. They truly care about their team. There's many hours that they spend, weekends, nights, just making sure that their team is cared for. And you can feel the love that they really have for their team. So we are blessed here with Waterman, just an amazing nursing leadership team.
Yes, thanks, Mike. Thank you for sharing that. And you mentioned this nurse practitioner who started as a PCT and became a nurse and now is a nurse practitioner, which is amazing. And part of our team member promises is to provide a guided career path. And we help support our team members with educational assistance, student loan forgiveness program. There's just a variety of options that are available for those who are looking to advance their career, their education. And so that's an amazing story just to see her come from a PCT to a nurse and to a nurse practitioner. So thank you for sharing. So we'll go on to our next question here, which will be for Charlotte. So what are some examples of how AdventHealth Waterman has integrated itself in its community?
So I'm going to answer that, but I can't let that one slide. What you were just saying about, because Waterman actually, back in the day, that's how come I became a nurse, is because AdventHealth actually had scholarships to nursing school. So my entire professional career has been paid for by the tuition reimbursement or grant programs offered throughout Waterman. So that's something that I was raised by hippies down in the Keys, so third generation Floridian, I know. My mom actually moved us up here, and with one comment, she said, "You need to see something to become." So that's one of the things that I appreciate about Waterman is that it does ingrain itself in the community by providing a avenue for children and our community members to see something else they can become. So I personally, it was a leadership event that they came and they did a spelling bee, which if you know me, you know I'm the world's worst speller on the planet. So I was like, no. But anyway, so we did a spelling bee by Take Stock in Children. It's a educational program that is voluntary through our school system that gives children an opportunity to have access to Florida prepaid tuition for college, but you become a mentor. So as a leader in our AdventHealth Waterman, I donate some of my time to be a mentor to other young girls so they can see something to become, to have easy access to say, hey, here is an opportunity that you may not even know existed, but I'm investing in you. What questions do you have? How can I help you in your education? What can you see to become? So we invest in our community because the leadership team actually is strongly encouraged to participate and to donate within the community. So we're embedded all different ways from our free health screenings in support of our communities to things like Take Stock in Children, where we're mentors. So those are just a few of the pieces. So I think that's Mike. I think you're next with that one.
No, I can add in a couple of other things as far as what AdventHealth Waterman does to embed itself in the community. And we've identified that there's a certain population of within here at Lake County that really kind of falls through the cracks of insurance. They don't qualify for Medicaid, but they don't really make enough for private insurance. So we actually have a free clinic for the eligible participants who fit this criteria, where they can come and get primary care. We do have 67 of our physicians and physician assistants, nurses, nurse practitioners that flow through that space and see those patients in that free of charge. So that's one way that we've really kind of connected and trying to embed into the community. Also, we partnered with Lake Sumter State College, which is a college just about 10, 15 minutes here from Waterman. And we actually have in our medical office building have a classroom. They brought all of the equipment, but we built out the classroom space for them. So actually their nurses meet here on our campus for their classroom experience close to the hospital. They do have a simulation lab, a skills lab as well. It's just a really beautiful, robust space. But on top of that, we have the dedicated education unit, which is 2 of our units that we put aside to make really a really robust clinical experience for the students through Lake Sumter State College. They are paired with a nurse for 12-hour shifts for 8 or 10 weeks, depending on how long that they are. And really, they build that collaborative nature with that nurse so that they can really experience real time what it is like to be a nurse here at AdventHealth Waterman. And building that relationship allows them just a much more robust clinical experience. So we're blessed to partner with Lake Sumter State College as well.
Yes, that is a really great partnership. It's always great to see the students in the elevator. They're always super excited. So really great opportunity for us here at AdventHealth. Holly, so my next question will be for you. Why did you originally choose to join AdventHealth Waterman?
Everybody's stories, I guess I'm the sappy one today because my story is a little on the sappy side again. So I, like Charlotte had said earlier, we went to school together, but I was actually born at Florida Hospital back in the day when AdventHealth was Florida Hospital. So I was born at Florida Hospital, and then Charlotte and I went to school at Southern Adventist, which was also AdventHealth back in the day. And in 1990, I was in the program, and my mom, who was my best friend, got really sick. And she passed away before I got out of nursing school, before she got to see me become the nurse that I had always said I wanted to become. So graduated in 1992, and everything around Orlando, having been born there, raised there, my family, everything just reminded me of my mom. So we decided we were gonna not go too far from Orlando, but kind of get a different scenery. So we moved to Lake County. So in 1992, I started with the GN program in the emergency department at AdventHealth. Back then it was Florida Hospital Waterman. So our heart badge that we wear, can you guys see that heart badge? It asks us, the team asks us to pick someone, how we're going to care for our patients. I care for you like, so on my heart badge, it's my mom, because she never got to see me be a nurse. And it's really important because she always knew that that was what I was destined to be. That's what I always wanted to do. A couple of times throughout the year. So I was here for 9 years back in 1992, did the emergency department, did critical care, started going into education, got great experience. I moved And I've got to admit, I moved outside of Lake County area, and I have worked at a couple of other competitors, both here and and even in the Panhandle. And I got to tell you, I was always drawn back. And so when I say I've come home, I really feel like I came home. I started my nursing career here, and I think it's so awesome that Charla and I both, we both went on scholarships. My full nursing career has been paid for by AdventHealth. And if you had asked me when I went to become a nurse, what I was going to do, I don't know that I would have necessarily, I was going to be in leadership. I wanted to help people. I loved people, all those things. But I am so grateful for the opportunities that we've been afforded and that I've been able to grow. And now I'm able to mentor others and help with our next generation that'll be taking care of me someday. So I think Waterman's a very, very special place. There are, it is small enough that you know everybody. When you jump on an elevator, you know everybody, especially when you're on the same set every day. And we take care of each other. I love that about Waterman, that we don't just see each other in the halls. Like, we have each other's cell phones and we connect and we take care of each other. So I will never leave.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Holly. And our next question, Charla, what has kept you here at AdventHealth Waterman?
So 100% the people. The people are invested in each other and the community. So I love thinkers. I like my nurses using every single cell that they have to become the best nurse that they can be, the best patient advocate they can be. And I'm impressed daily by what they achieve, I got to tell you. It's the people. I feel that when somebody says, hey, how you doing? In that elevator, that they actually know. Big Kenny, he saw me today as he was walking through the lobby. I know that's what he calls himself. He is big because he's tall, but that's what he calls himself. So he was like, hey, Charla. I'm like, it was the first time he's called me by name since in the 6 months that I've been saying hello to him. I was thrilled. I was like, yes. I love that. I also love that our leadership team is a 24/7 leadership team. So I always thought back when I was on the floor, I can tell you exactly when the leadership came and I saw them. I remembered when they engaged and they saw my question or my need and then followed back on. I can tell you every single time it took place as a bedside nurse. So I love that about this team, that they routinely are coming in the middle of the night, 10 to 2. You never know who's going to show up. I love that. I love that's what keeps me at Waterman, is because I'm able to be the leader that I wanted. And I am challenged to be better than what I am. And that makes me excited. Complacency is not something that's accepted. I always say, nobody came in saying they want to do an exceptionally mediocre job today. Everybody shows up with their best self. And you know what? If today is not my day to be a shining star, somebody is going to make it that way for me, because I know that I'm going to be appreciated for something that I'm able to give, because somebody needed to see me today, or I needed to see somebody today, and God puts them in my pathway every single time. So very excited.
Awesome.
So that's what keeps me at Waterman. I'm going to share about yesterday. So yesterday I was rounding and one of my team members goes, hey, Charla. And I was like, hey, what? And he was like, my wife wants you to pray for her because she's going to go into an interview. It was just a happenstance, because, the world is this really, truly small place in essence, but I actually knew his wife from a previous nursing we worked together previously, I don't know, about 20 years ago. And I was like, I will absolutely pray for her, and I said, when's her interview? And I put her interview in my calendar. So I got a ping, I remember. And that to me, that's what keeps me at Waterman. Somebody saying, I know that you're going to pray. for me because that's who we are, mind, body, spirit. The whole person matters. That's what keeps me at Waterman.
Awesome. Always amazing to hear the impact of those interactions with team members. So thank you for that, Charla. Really great story. And I know we're getting close to time here, but Laura, I had a question for you. My question for you would be, would you consider AdventHealth Waterman to be a learning organization? And what are some examples of how you facilitate growth within your department?
I would say that AdventHealth Waterman is certainly one of those places where education takes top priority, not just from the graduate nurse, but from the seasoned nurse that also needs to expand their knowledge base and develop on a professional level. For us here in the emergency department, we have an incredibly amazing EdNet program, which is fully integrated, didactic, virtual, in-class lectures. I mean, you name it, we kind of offer it to you. And we give you 20 weeks of just one-on-one love to get to the best place possible. So that week 21, you're literally on your own for the first time from school, and you're able to take care of patients safely, smartly, timely, all of the things that matter for us. I know we've gone live with a critical care nurse internship program as well that happened with our last cohort. We're looking at med surge for 2024 for also expanding out for those internship programs with a dedicated program resource. We do have the LPN cohort, which is also being built out for the emergency or acute care setting, in addition to what they use for the inpatient setting. We love our nurse techs and our advanced nurse techs. So those are our nursing students that are looking to get in the field and get a chance to play and figure out what nursing is all about. It's almost like buying a car. You get to shop it before you actually buy it and get to know the unit culture and just get a chance to really integrate themselves into what is AdventHealth Waterman, you know, from their culture perspective. But I think even from a professional excellence perspective, and I'll let Charlotte talk about our excellence program. She is the #1 champion for that. But from an education standpoint, you know, we push for certifications, especially if you're a seasoned nurse, looking at what your specialty is, making sure that you have those resources available. Like you said, Wilkie, our guild program, which is our tuition reimbursement program, is amazing. It has helped us all develop our careers and advance in the roles that we're in. So it certainly is something that makes just Waterman and AdventHealth a great place to work. So I'll let Charlotte talk about the professional excellence.
So professional excellence, some people refer to it within other places as a clinical ladder. I think it's more than that. It's not clinical. It has clinical aspects, but it also has professional aspects. So you can be and it's a robust whole experience. So everything is, you get to find your champion. You get to be the resource in a certain thing and then be rewarded for it. So a shared governance, you want to participate and solve problems at an operational level, or make sure that your voice is heard and represent a group of nurses. It's there for you. You have a thing about being a health champion or advocating for a creation style life style with mind, body, spirit all being together and healthy. That's in there too. Not only, but also leadership aspects and formal education. It's all rolled into different levels of professional excellence. And it's a way for us to have a formal recognition of those who are just really leading the way for our professional practice and demonstrating what professionalism looks like from that. I'm very excited about that. The other that we touched on this a little bit, but when you go from nurse specialty to nurse specialty, because truly every part of nursing has a specialty in it. Whether I'm orthopedics, you don't want me setting up your buck extraction, that's for darn sure. You know, but if you you come into ED and you're focused in 45 different pathways to figuring out what you're truly here for. Yeah, you don't want me there either, because my chaos, I need a little more controlled. So, but we have training programs that help transition you from area to area to area. So if you were a med-surg nurse and you came out and you learned how to be the best nurse that you can be, great. We have a nurse residency straight out of school for that. But now you want to transition into intermediate level, we have a training program, a training track with mentoring and formal didactic and simulations for transitioning to those different levels. The same goes through every specialty. We have training programs for that. So not only do we have the professional excellence program for those that are in their area, we have training programs built in and formalized to transition you to your next level of expertise.
Nice. A lot of great things, a lot of exciting things happening at AdventHealth Waterman. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate your time and for sharing with our attendees what life looks like at AdventHealth Waterman. So we're excited to spend this time with everyone. We're looking forward to seeing everyone. If you're interested in joining our AdventHealth family, you're interested in having one of these amazing individuals to be your leader, come join us, excuse me, at our hiring event on April 11th here at AdventHealth Waterman in Tavares, Florida, located in Lake County. So we're looking forward to seeing you guys. The event will take place from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Again, we encourage you to apply online. Come see us on April 11th. We're looking forward to interviewing you, spending some time with you, finding you a home, finding you your home here at AdventHealth Waterman. So again, thank you guys for joining. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you on April 11th.